then finally we have Lyle Kennedy. Lyle was raised in Santa Barbara. He is a semi-retired operating engineer who was previously self-employed. He married twice and has 2 children and now 6 grandchildren. He became homeless after his second divorce. He admitted being alcoholic and addicted, and he started recovery December 2nd, 1989. Amen to that. Since then, he has remained sober, clean, and employed, purchased real estate, and began living with spiritual principles as a guide. He describes himself as grateful, healthy, happy, safe, protected, and most importantly, comfortable in his own skin. And so I'm so grateful for you being here and willing to share your story tonight.
Good evening. Thanks so much for showing up. My name is Lyle Kennedy, and I'm a real alcoholic. Now, in that title, you know, some people would look at the disease and maybe not be educated as to what the disease is and how it affects people, and could strike some sort of prejudice, and I have been on the receiving end of that. But thankfully, I'm happy to say that I've also been blessed with living basically 2 lives. I grew up here in Santa Barbara. My parents were middle class. My dad worked at UCSB and retired. My mom managed the news press. It wasn't like I had a hard childhood or anything like that to overcome. Graduated from San Marcos High School in 1967. Went on to be self-employed. Had an invention on the market. Lived in various zip codes from Padero Lane to Goleta to all around the area. And little by little, being a child of the 60s and being brought up around the better living through chemistry attitude that we had, coping skills didn't seem to develop so much as the desire to just adjust to life by an altered state of mind. And I became more and more dependent upon that as time went on, to the point where I hadn't realized what an impact it was having on my employment, my relationships, my attitude, perspective on life. And when consequences started to pile up a little bit, it wasn't really knowledge of this substance and altered state of mind as being the problem. Even when I was fortunate enough to become physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually bankrupt on December 1st, 1989, I entered the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous by way of cottage care. I was fortunate that I had just worked enough in the Operating Engineers Union to have health insurance. And ironically, I was working on the Paseo Nuevo project, which about 15 years sober, I realized in Spanish means new path. And so I was able to turn things around, but basically because I was offered love and support from those who were afflicted, those who had firsthand experience with the problem that was giving me trouble. And even though denial is a main symptom of alcoholism and drug addiction, I personally had fought with it for a while and entered the rooms not really being an alcoholic. I was just having a bad decade. So little by little, through education, love, and support, helping hands were given to me, and encouragement, and I was able to basically turn my life around. I was able to take some college classes. I was able to get to a spot where, free from the obsession and the insanity, I would stop, or at least reduce, self-sabotage and undermine my own well-being by really poor decision-making. And so the decision-making through guidance and love and sponsorship helped me to actually turn my life around. So tonight I really feel privileged to be in here as a messenger of hope. I know the problem exists in Santa Barbara. It is more prevalent than we realize. Most of us typically judge people by what we see visually, and on the surface we make an instant judgment. And I can speak from experience that there are many in this community that actually fit into the categories that we are prejudicial towards, homelessness, drug addiction, alcoholism, mental illness, those things that seem to be on the surface, things that we pick up on. But the solution is in this room tonight. The people that are actively in this community participating, either by listening or being active, reaching out, being loving, kind, compassionate. This hate and resentment and negativity can be turned around. And even in this particular church, which has been so helpful, they've provided meeting places for Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs. I participate in a meditation open door Sangha group that meets here 2 nights a week. I love the fact that this church has given us diversity in belief and religious open-mindedness. So in the spiritual principles that have affected me in a positive way, I think that they can be helpful to most people, whether they're afflicted with alcoholism or not. But in my particular case, it's been a dramatically profound impact. I now own rental properties where, because of the homelessness that I experienced, I try and offer a complete utilities paid, low-cost package, and give people an opportunity to move in, split up the security deposit, whatever it is that can help people overcome the overwhelming task of staying off the streets and making something happen. So thank you so much for being here tonight. It's an extreme honor to be amongst the panelists. And Russ, thanks for putting us together. And Tanya, I had a little laugh with Tanya. She sent me an email and she asked me for my title. And I sent her a title. I said, well, Mr. Lyle Kennedy. And she sent back a little quirk, a little humorous quirk. And she said, no, I'm trying to find out what we should list you as. She says, is semi-retired operating engineer okay? I said, absolutely. So, anyway, there's many spokes on everybody's wheel, and everybody has a story. And if we take the time to listen, like Russ had mentioned, you said something about words are extremely powerful at the beginning of this discussion. But I think just as much as that has power over the words is how to listen to the words versus just how to speak. So, anyway, thank you.